All right, so today we have 5 books for you. We're doing 5 books today for preppers, survivalists, really anyone interested in self-sufficiency, sustainability, living a healthier life, right? So we're going to jump into our 5 books here. First book I have is the Prepper's Medical Handbook. This is by William Forgy. This is a great book here. Been reading through it. Help to provide medical care when you can't rely on anyone but yourself. Of course, the first note in the book, as it should be, is if there's a medical emergency, call 911. But it's good to know things like first aid, how to do self-medical care, because 911 may not be available. And you see on the cover, he's got his backpack. If you're away from civilization, sometimes 911 is not available immediately or at all. So a couple sections in the book. It's a nice long book. Assessment and stabilization, symptoms and management, how to care for radiation, dental care, soft tissue care, trauma management, orthopedics, bites and stings, bioterrorism, infectious diseases, environmental injuries, and what you would want in a medical kit. So really all encompassing. There's a lot of great visuals in the books. You got different charts and whatnot, so a lot of great information. Dental care, as I said. Even having a little bit on radiation. We'll say radiation sickness, I think. I don't want to upset people if I say it the wrong way. Radiation syndrome, right? Talks about radiation syndrome, human waste disposal. So a lot of great information. Great book just across the board in terms of your own health, understanding how to do care, how to assess situations, how to do physical examinations. Notice flipping in the back, you got Colorado tick fever. So across the board, good book to get. Solid choice, right? You never know when you might have to rely on yourself for at least basic medical care. Hopefully not too advanced, but you never know. So next book I want to jump into, Max Waterman's Prepper's Water Survival Bible, how to find, collect, filter, purify, store your most vital resource. So water is life, right? They say 3 days without water, you're going to start having issues. So it's important to understand how to collect water, how to filter water. And this book will actually give you a lot of good information on that. So it's collection and conservation, filtration, purification, storing water, desalinization, and then they got a bonus section in the back on building emergency shelters. So you've got things like ceramic filters, how to build those water filters you might need to survive. You got sections on storing water. I want to get in some of the good diagrams here on building sand filters and whatnot. So be able to filter water, collect water, store water, all really good information to have. I think it's very important. And once again, you get a little bonus lean-to shelters and whatnot in the back. So a lot of good survival information. Clean water is super important, and as we've talked about before, water's heavy. Water takes up a lot of space. At some point you're going to need to know how to collect and filter water. No one can store enough fresh water to last them the rest of your life. So this one's a huge book. This is the big book, and it is a big, nice, big, thick book. The Big Book of Herbal Medicine, 300 Natural Remedies for Health and Wellness by Tina Sams. Great book. Been going through it. Love the book. So it's split into 3 parts. So first part 1 is understanding herbal medicine. Part 2 is herbs and healing. Part 3 is 300 remedies for health and wellness, physical ailments, skin and beauty, mental health and wellness. It talks about sourcing high quality herbs and growing herbs, preparing herbs. So even though it's 3 sections, the book to me seems to be split into 2 parts. The first part is identifying, growing, preparing herbs. So you've got things like aloe, arnica, black kush, basil, right? It has pictures, talks about each herb individually. And then, you see that's the first part of the book. Then you got your 300 remedies for health and wellness, itchy eye relief eye wash, soothing garlic ear drops. So a lot of great remedies in here. Soapstones, a lot of good stuff. And then I think it was in the end here, had some good indexes, sourcing, things on sourcing, right? How to source your herbs, supplies, different resources you might be interested in. And then it's got some good that had some good reference stuff in the back. So great book, a lot of information, ton of information if you're interested in alternative medicine, natural remedies, or just want to have a backup plan in case things like antibiotics are not available. So great book, great thing to have around, keep it on the shelf, read through it, a lot of good information in there. Next, so this would be number 4. I'm going through them kind of quick. Technically not a book, right, but it's the Pocket Naturalist Guide, Edible Wild Plants, Folding Pocket Guide to Familiar North American Species. You fold it out. This could be very useful, partially because it is so small. It's so foldable. Talks about desert tropical plants, roots and tubers, seashore plants, poisonous plants, contact poison plants, a little bit on tips, leaf shapes. So a lot of information, ton of information. I'm actually working on putting together a little kind of survival kit, and I feel like this something would be essential in there to have. You never know, and you might need to forage for food. So something like this, it's small, it's light, it's laminated, was not super expensive. Probably a great thing to have added into your kit. Doesn't take up a lot of space. This says $9.95 in Canada, $7.95 in the US. So definitely recommend it. I said in part because it's size, right? You've got a lot of great plants in here. In case you ever have to forage for food, or you're just interested to know if a plant is edible or not. And then this is it. This is number 5. Last book. This one's a beast as well. This is 3rd edition SAS Survival Handbook, the ultimate guide to surviving anywhere, John Lofty Wiseman. So there's a lot in here, and I was saving this to the end for a reason, because it tends to overlap in a certain way with the books I already showed you, and you would have to decide whether you want just this book or maybe you want the other books as well. So opens with the Survival Pyramid, which I kind of like his Survival Pyramid, Kit, Knowledge, and Will. And we talk about that. Survival is a mix of skills and stuff, and he adds will to live. And I've argued before that when it comes to survival, instincts will kick in, but ultimately certainly will to live will play a factor. So split in 12 chapters, covers survival essentials like kit, matches, candle, flint, how to build a survival pouch, knives. Now it's got a finding water. It's got a section on water. Said this covers water. This has got 9 pages on water versus the book I showed you before is entire book on water. So do you need them both? Well, you'd want to look, right? Is that 9 pages good enough, or do you want the whole book on water? So this is one of those, you know, mile wide, inch deep kind of things. It does have a lot of good information on water, maybe not as much as the water book. Survival strategies, talks about different climate, terrain, how to survive in different climates, whether you're in the Arctic or in the jungle or in the desert, on a deserted island. You've got some of that in here. Now food, it has 130 pages on food, including edible plants, hunting, building traps, processing animals. So once again, this has got a lot of food, but it doesn't necessarily have as much as something like this. So this is really about your herbal remedies. We got the book on the edible plants. This does cover some of that. So once again, it's a good general book. It covers a lot of information. Goes into campcraft, like building shelters, making fires. Even talks about how to build an igloo, which I found interesting, and talks about things like knot tying. So good Boy Scout survival handbook kind of stuff. Has a section on read the signs, how to use maps, how to navigate, even how to navigate on the stars. Once again, I've got books on navigation, but if you just wanted one book to cover everything, this might be your book. It's got a lot of good information in there. On the move is a section, making sleds, rafts, crossing rivers, stuff like that. Then it has health and first aid. So there's 61 pages on her first aid, 6 pages on natural remedies. So once again, do you want separate books for each? Well, maybe you start with something like this and kind of go from there. Talks about survival at sea, getting rescued, urban survival, disasters, how to respond in disasters. And urban survival is interesting, right? When you read the urban survival, it talks about if you interact with the police, do you make statements? Do you do confessions? What's fingerprinting and DNA? Types of physical searches, getting arrested. So it's kind of a modern urban survival, not just post-apocalyptic urban survival. And it even has some information about your computer, spyware, phishing attacks, screen privacy, locking your computer, disposing of sensitive equipment. So he covered a lot of stuff. You even have espionage, cameras, wiretapping, ton of information in the urban survival section. Super relevant and not just post-apocalyptic, right? It's not just a bunch of survivalists living in the forest with knives. You got talks about how to deal with getting arrested, and then of course you got your poisonous fungi. Always important to note, I'm not a big fan of eating fungi that I don't know, just because so much of it's poisonous, and the stuff that's not poisonous is pretty low calorie, right? You're not getting a lot out of it, but you might be into that. Some people are into that. I'm not putting it down, but you got all your edible fungi in there as well. So that was it, guys. $5 for survival, self-sufficiency, build those skills. As we said, as I always have said, survival skills and stuff. Certainly the more skills you have, the less dependent you are on your gear, on other people. Builds your confidence, and sometimes just reading a book can help you build out those skills, build out your understanding. So knowledge is power. As always, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.